up towards turn 9. Little bit of a squiggle of the rear wheel of that Ducati. Giannone brakes hard, tries to get round the outside of Valentino Rossi, not able to do so as they come into turn 10.
Yeah, these conditions will be helping Andrea Giannone, certainly from a physical point of view. It's a lot less physical, of course, riding in the rain conditions. The risk factor goes up a little bit, but Andrea Giannone is in the lead, brilliantly up the inside of Valentino Rossi on that run down of turn number 12. So Andrea Giannone, who's missed the last 4 Grand Prix, winner in Austria, leads now here in Sepang.
He just said how miserable it was watching the races on the television, sitting on his sofa. He's certainly not sitting on his sofa now as they come onto the back straight. Andrea Giannone, 1 win in MotoGP in Austria, leads the way down towards turn 15.
Still no way through for Cal Crutchlow and Jorge Lorenzo. He tries to move out of the spray, being kicked up by the former world champions factory Yamaha. Then here is Andrea Giannone. Oh, massive moment for Giannone coming through turn number 15. Big wobble there for the factory Ducati rider. That should have cost him a bit of crucial drive. Rossi tries to get side by side. Will Rossi be the bravest on the brakes down to the first corner?
Who is going to get in there first? Just Andrea Giannone. Took his first ever pole position here in the 1-2-5.
Oh, that's Aleix Espargaro's run wide at the first corner. Aleix Espargaro completely missed his braking marker. He was running in a strong 5th place, so it's another mistake for Aleix Espargaro. That's dropped him right out of the podium battle.
Back at the front, Giannone still leads the way through 3. Up the hill, they come towards turn 4. Long, long way to go. Still 16.5 laps. Race distance reduced by 1 lap because of the weather. Let's have a look at number 41, Aleix Espargaro.
Yeah, he'll still be trying to make that first corner next week. That's how hot he was into turn number 1. So that's Aleix Espargaro's podium hopes gone again. Of course, he crashed out of 4th place in Australia 1 week ago. Andrea Giannone looking pretty comfortable at the front of this race. 2:15.355 was his fastest lap of the race last time around. Crutchlow we're on board with now. He just can't find a way through to make a safe move on Jorge Lorenzo.
You do get the feeling he's probably got the pace to get away from him if he can get through, but he just can't do it at the moment. They come up towards a turn 9. Giannone, Rossi, Dovizioso. Then we have Marquez, Crutchlow on the rear wheel of Jorge Lorenzo. Then we have Vinales, Miller, Pol Espargaro, Hector Barbera, Loris Paz, Bradley Smith, Alvaro Bautista and Danilo Petrucci is your top 15 as we stand at the moment.
As you know, he's strong through this turn 12. That's where he took the lead from Rossi last time around.
Well, when you have an injury such as he's had, it's not only the back that's the problem, it's the way you've protected the back can make life very difficult for all parts of your body as you try to protect it. And even though he's having a fantastic ride at the front.
Yeah, and even though the rain does make it less physically taxing on these MotoGP bikes, he still will be feeling it. He hasn't ridden in anger in a race since the British Grand Prix at Silverstone in early September, so it's been a long, long layoff for Andrea Giannone.
It's closing up nicely at the front. 0.0 Rossi. You can probably hear him, you can probably smell him, can't he, as they race over the start and finish line up towards turn 1. Marquez getting quite comfortably behind Dovizioso, so Lorenzo and Crutchlow not that far away. And we just got a glimpse there of Maverick Vinales on the Suzuki.
Yeah, Lorenzo and Crutchlow are coming right back into this podium battle. Lorenzo was the fastest man on track last time around by a fraction from Crutchlow. Lorenzo's best pace at 2:14.925, so the gap between Lorenzo and Marquez came down to just over 7.5 tenths of a second.
Crutchlow will be quite happy sitting behind him if he's going to keep that pace up. If he brings him along to join the front 4, that'll be very nice indeed without having to take too many risks.
Yeah, Crutchlow last time around was 1.1 seconds faster than Maverick Vinales, so the Spaniard really struggling in his quest for a 3rd successive podium finish.
Rossi's having a sniff. Rossi, I think, feels he ought to get in the front because he knows others are coming. Just look at that visibility. I think that is Andrea Giannone. All you can see is the red light really on the back of the Ducati as we ride with Valentino Rossi. 15.5 laps ago. Rain, shine, wind. They never let you down, these MotoGP boys.
Yeah, Dovizioso's taken a couple of tenths back on Valentino Rossi in the first 2 sectors on this lap number 3. Crutchlow's finally made his move on Lorenzo, then down at turn number 9. He's had a few looks up the inside of Lorenzo, and this time he does make it stick. This is a battle for 5th place. It's going to be very shortly bringing these two into contention for the podium.
Yeah, he waited and was very patient, was Cal Crutchlow, rightly so in these conditions.
That was at turn 6. He must have run it wide because Lorenzo... Nice move, though, by Crutchlow. And straight away you can see he's already started to gap Lorenzo there in 5th place. So Cal Crutchlow's the man on the charge. He was in the 2:14s last time around, and with a bit of clear track in front of him now, of course, he won't be having any major visibility issues as he closes up on Marc Marquez. Look at the power of that Ducati. Andrea Iannone coming out of turn number 14 can pull 3 or 4 bike lengths on Valentino Rossi's Yamaha.
The top speed around 340 kilometres an hour. Probably not quite as quick in the rain. We ride with Marc Marquez. Lively start, and then it's just settled into a very comfortable 4th place behind Andrea Dovizioso. But he probably knows he's going to be joined by Cal Crutchlow if he is not careful.
Yeah.
Up at turn 1, still 15 laps to go.
Crutchlow's really on the charge. 2:14.010, his best lap of the race. You can see on your screens there. That was 0.6 of a second quicker than anybody in front of him. 0.7, in fact, faster than Marc Marquez. So Cal Crutchlow is dragging himself right back into victory contention here. As we said at the start of the race, he could be the first British rider to win back-to-back races in the Premier class since Barry Sheene in 1977. Rossi's going to hit the front. Is he at turn number 4? He is. Brilliantly done by Rossi. He takes the lead back from Andrea Iannone. Iannone tries to fight back. Rossi running a little bit wide. Iannone strikes straight back.
Well, great to watch, but great news for Cal Crutchlow if they're going to carry on fighting it out at the front like this. It would just give him that bigger advantage to try and pull back that advantage they have got at the front. Rossi, you can tell, really wants to get to the front. I think he feels that he probably knows that the Crutchlow will come at some stage, and he knows that really he's got to get past Iannone, as this is going to turn into a real old dogfight in the wet, and he wants to try to get past Iannone and get away at the front. Here he is at turn 9 up the inside. Rossi up the inside of Iannone. Can he make it stick this time round? Yes, Valentino Rossi leads in Malaysia for 1 second as Iannone rides around the outside and retakes the lead. And Crutchlow up the inside now of Marc Marquez.
Iannone's not called the maniac for nothing. If you make a move on Andrea Iannone, you better make it stick, because you know he's going to try and snap straight back, and that's precisely what he did brilliantly around the outside of Rossi going up through turn number 10. And Cal Crutchlow then picks off Marc Marquez, then Crutchlow up into 4th place on the LCR Honda.
This is another superb ride from Cal Crutchlow. Winner in Australia, winner in the Czech Republic, and he is absolutely flying as they race down through the spray to turn 15. Rossi thinks about getting up the inside, and Andrea Dovizioso closes up on Rossi in 3rd place on the Ducati. He's never forgotten finishing 2nd in Austria to his teammate, a race he thought he should have won. He's far from out of it, Andrea Dovizioso. Cross the line, 14 laps to go.
Dovizioso is the first rider of the race into the 2:13s as Rossi has another look up the inside of Andrea Iannone. He's through at turn number 1. And this time there's no way back through for Andrea Iannone. The crowd go absolutely wild in the grandstand at turn number 1. The yellow flags waving fast and proudly because Rossi now has hit the front. Can he? Has he got the pace then to try and break up the field here?
I think that is exactly his aim, and I think he knew that the likes of Cal Crutchlow and perhaps Andrea Dovizioso will come at him, and now he's at the front. Well, Iannone looks quite happy to just stick in behind him as they're up at turn 4. Dovizioso really has come back into strength, and Marc Marquez not letting Crutchlow get away. And then we have Lorenzo Vinales, Loris Baz going well in 8th place, 9th Barbara, 10th Miller, 11th Alicia Spargo, 12th is Alvaro Bautista, 13th Paul Espargaro, 14th Bradley Smith, and Danilo Petrucci completes the point scorers in 15th place.
Yeah, Rossi, Iannone and Dovizioso are just starting to get the hammer down a little bit here. Cal Crutchlow's just fallen 1 second behind that top 3 battle. And what this will mean in terms of the championship, Valentino Rossi will secure 2nd place if he goes on to take the victory here in Malaysia with his teammate Jorge Lorenzo back in 6th place.
Well, Iannone and Rossi are great friends, aren't they? Well, I tell you what, there's no friendship in this particular battle. Iannone chasing just his 2nd ever MotoGP win. Rossi chasing his 3rd win of the season, and Marc Marquez is not letting Cal Crutchlow get away.
Maverick Vinales is struggling. He's coming under real pressure from Loris Baz in that battle for 7th place. The gap now between Baz and Vinales is down to under half a second, and Loris Baz is dragging his teammate Hector Barber along with him as well, so Loris Baz could be heading for 7th place as Andrea Iannone uses the top speed of that Ducati to move up the inside of Rossi at the final corner. Has he got it on the brakes? He has. Andrea Iannone then fights straight back. Is he going to run a little bit wide though? Rossi cuts the tighter line through turn number 15. They're going to be side by side coming over the line at the end of lap number 6. Great onboard shot with Rossi, but Iannone uses the grunt and top speed of that Ducati to hold firm at the front.
Classic Sepang into turn 15, and it was the grunt of the Ducati that got Iannone out of a pretty tough old situation, and Iannone has now set the fastest lap of the race at 2:13.431. 13 laps to go here in Malaysia. It's as good as it gets on a wet track.
It really is. Is Jorge Lorenzo just struggling to run the pace of Crutchlow and Marc Marquez in front of him? You can see Jorge Lorenzo, when he can get temperature into those Michelin rain tyres, he's been much stronger normally in the rain conditions so far this year. He's been a sitting duck as Lorenzo, but he's hanging inside that top 6, but struggling to go with Crutchlow and Marquez just ahead of him on track now. This is the battle for 4th place.
Yeah, Crutchlow not hit a brick wall, but his progress has been a little bit stunted by the men at the front increasing the pace. Yeah,
there's nothing between the lap times at the front of the race though. Iannone at 2:13.4, Rossi at 2:13.5 last time around. Crutchlow did a 2:13.6, so track conditions are improving as you'd expect with the rain abating here in Malaysia.
They are at turn 9, so that means there's 12.5 laps to go. Crutchlow closing up on Andrea Dovizioso, that familiar style with that left leg going out to balance the LCR Honda. Rossi right on the rear wheel of Andrea Iannone, very close indeed as they come through turn 11, coming up to 12 now. It's the left-hander, then they go right 13, 14 onto the back straight. Rossi knows he probably hasn't got any chance unless he's very close indeed, because he opens the throttle of that Ducati and it just explodes down the back straight.
Andrea Iannone has blown some golden chances for podium finishes this year. Of course, he crashed out of second in the opening round in Qatar, went out of second in Le Mans when he was trying to hunt down Jorge Lorenzo, and he crashed out of second place on his last race appearance at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. So Ducati will be keeping their fingers crossed and praying that Andrea Iannone can see it through to the checkered flag this time around.
It's closing up once again. Marquez, Crutchlow, Dovizioso, Rossi and Iannone. Iannone leads the way as they come up into turn 1. Dovizioso's been very quiet but very competent, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. Marquez is now the fastest man on track. Look how much he closed up on Cal Crutchlow as they sweep through that tight, tricky turn 1 right-hander, down in the slight hollow now through turn number 2. And Marc Marquez getting pretty busy now behind the Australian Grand Prix winner Cal Crutchlow.
Through that magnificent turn 3 and then up the hill towards 4, that tight right-hander at the top of the hill.
Marc Marquez has probably just had to wait to get some temperature into that front carbon disc now. In the early laps, he was probably just being a little bit cautious, not willing to take too many risks before he knew that the carbon brakes were biting as he wanted with the temperature up there. And it looks like they are now. Up to a temperature that he's really happy with.
Very hard indeed. He's right on the tail of Cal Crutchlow. They come up towards turn 7 and 8, and then up towards turn 9, which is the hairpin, slightly uphill, the left-hander. It is a favouring overtaking place. All depends if Marquez is quite close enough. Iannone on the brakes, Rossi on the brakes, Dovizioso. Good stuff from Crutchlow, just blocked any thought Marquez had of getting up the inside of him.
Of course, with no rain and the track drying out ever so slightly, it will mean that Marc Marquez will not be losing temperature in those brakes as well. If it starts raining again, it will be a nightmare for Marquez. I'll tell you what, Andrea Iannone's doing an awesome job at the front of this race. He leads now by over half a second over Valentino Rossi. The factory Ducati team watch on. They had a 1-2 at the Red Bull Ring in Austria in mid-August, and they've got both their factory rides on the podium here again so far in Sepang.
You just tuned in. The race distance has been reduced to 19 laps, and the race did start 20 minutes late because of the heavy rain. We ride with the maniac. He's missed the last 4 Grand Prix with that serious back injury. He's chasing just his 2nd ever MotoGP win. There's Andrea Iannone that leads the way through turn 15. When he crosses the line, there will be 11 laps to go.
Rossi is fighting, and he's fighting because Andrea Iannone is pushing him to a personal best lap time. Rossi, last time around, a personal best of 2:13.208. As we said, Maverick Vinales is really suffering. Loris Baz and Hector Barbera both picked off the factory Suzuki riders, so it doesn't look like it's going to be a third successive podium for Maverick Vinales. Had he done so, he would have been the first Suzuki rider since Kenny Roberts Jr. way back in 2000 to have had 3 successive podiums for Suzuki in the Premier class.
Some rare old moments there between Maverick Vinales and Hector Barbera. Another great ride by Loris Baz in these difficult conditions, running in 7th place, almost a touch between Barbera and Vinales as they fight it out for us. Well, it will be for 8th place, won't it? Loris Baz, Barbera's teammate, in front of him.
Well, he does love these rain conditions, Loris Baz. He equalled his best ever Grand Prix finish with 4th in the rain at the Czech Republic. We might have expected perhaps a little bit more from Dutch TT winner Jack Miller. He's still fighting inside the top 10 though, just holding off a determined challenge from Álvaro Bautista. Just behind those two is Aleix Espargaro, who completely ruined his podium hopes with a mistake very early on at turn number 1. Just behind him is younger brother Pol Espargaro, Danilo Petrucci, Stefan Bradl and Bradley Smith. They're tailing those trio.
Back at the front, Rossi closes up on Andrea Iannone. Now we see Álvaro Bautista getting past Jack Miller.
That could be a 5th top 10 in 6 races for Álvaro Bautista. Jack Miller thought about leaning on him around the outside of turn 10, but Bautista had the inside line and he held firm as they come through turn number 11 then. So Bautista up into 10th place.
Good scrap this for 10th place. As we said, Bautista in great form. Of course, will leave Aprilia at the end of the season and join the Aspar Ducati team.
Lorenzo struggling in 6th place, Nick. He's lost 0.8 of a second on Marc Marquez already in the first 3 sectors of this lap number 9, and Jorge Lorenzo is dropping out of podium contention very, very rapidly here. Here's Andrea Iannone, the race leader, about to start lap number 10, and the pace is hotting up. Iannone, Rossi and Dovizioso exchange fastest laps of the race. Quickest man on track is Dovizioso at 2:12.483. Last time around he was 4/10 faster than Iannone.
And Marquez has got back in front of Cal Crutchlow. Crutchlow, here it does at turn 15.
Wasn't much of a gap, but you don't need to leave much of a gap for Marc Marquez because he will pounce.
Thread a needle through there, could you?
Yeah, Lorenzo.
This is really hotting up at the front. This is going to be one hell of a last 10 laps. We're just coming up to the half distance of the race. And Dovizioso, who's quietly gone about his business, he's in pole, started in pole position, has put the Ducati right behind Rossi's Yamaha, and his teammate, his Ducati teammate, Andrea Iannone's Ducati.
Lorenzo's definitely out of it. He's almost 3 seconds now behind Cal Crutchlow. Stefan Bradl's Malaysian Grand Prix has come to a premature end. He's crashed at turn number 1. He crashed there on the LCR Honda a few years ago and broke his ankle, didn't he? Yeah. So, bad memories in the past for Stefan Bradl at turn number 1, and bad memories today for him as well, as this top 3, an all-Italian top 3 at the moment. One of the best races we've seen so far in 2016, and we've had a few to marvel over this year.
And it is an amazing quality of racing at the highest level because of these conditions. We ride with Andrea Dovizioso, and the red light on the back of Rossi's Yamaha pierces the spray. It may have stopped raining, but it's still mighty difficult to ride one of those machines out there as they come up towards 13 and 14.
Marc Marquez is smelling blood here. He's like a shark in the water here because Marc Marquez, he's got those carbon brakes up to beautiful working temperature now.
Yeah, he picked off Crutchlow on the brakes, didn't he, into turn 15?
Yeah. Well, as the conditions improve and there's less spray being kicked up, then Marquez will find it easier to keep the temperature and the heat into that carbon disc. It was a big gamble to start a wet MotoGP race on carbon disc, but he did it. Marc Marquez is not afraid to take risks, is he? He can do, of course, now he's already won the MotoGP World Championship. Start of lap number 10, we're just over the halfway stage. We've got an epic, a manic Malaysian Grand Prix unfolding here.
We ride with Jorge Lorenzo, who's having a tough old time in 6th place. He's certainly not up with those race leaders in any way at all. Marquez looks dangerous in 4th place. Dovizioso looks dangerous in 3rd place. Neither of them have really shown their hand yet at the front. Doing all the donkey work, you've got to say is Andrea Iannone. Rossi seems to have settled into 2nd place at the moment, just to see how things are going to pan out. And Crutchlow certainly is not out of the reckoning just yet.
Yeah, nobody's making any big mistakes at the front of this race. They're all just pretty happily in their comfortable, fast rhythm.
got to say, the grip of this new surface, 3 million euros they spent resurfacing this Sepang International Circuit, is absolutely brilliant. This is almost like a dry race, isn't it?
Marc Marquez has just lost a bit of ground, just lost touch with that top three again, running through the first couple of splits on this 11th lap.
You know, and he's coming under pressure from Rossi. This is one of his favourite bends in the world. On the brakes into turn 9, 46 versus 29. He's got through on the inside. He has made it stick, and Rossi leads the way.
Classic Sepang move, classic Rossi move on the brakes at turn number 9. If you had £1 for every move he's made there down the years, you'd be a very wealthy man. Here comes Rossi then out of turn number 11, down through 12. He's had a good look behind Andrea Iannone now for a few laps now. Does Rossi feel that he, with clear track in front of him, can start to break up the chasing pack? We'll find out very, very shortly.
And can the chasing pack run the pace of the 9-times world champion at the front? Here is a replay. As you say, classic Sepang and classic Rossi. He loves this bend. This one and the bottom of the hill at the Saxon Ring must be his two favourites.
Yeah, he's an absolute demon on the brakes there, is Rossi. Down into turn number 9. Can't quickly shake off the attention of Andrea Iannone. You have to take your hat off to Iannone because he's done an absolutely awesome job in second place. Has he got the speed to out-drag Rossi down to the first corner? You bet he has. Andrea Iannone makes Valentino Rossi pulling his right knee. Andrea Iannone is not giving up this victory fight without an almighty fight. Rossi's back through. Iannone was wide at turn number 1. This is an unbelievable scrap now at the front. This is reminiscent of Marquez and Rossi 12 months ago.
Here they come into turn 3. Rossi had to put his right knee in out. He'd have got it clouted by Iannone. He took the lead. Rossi fights back. Dovizioso now in the fight. Up the hill they come. We ride with Valentino Rossi.
Down.
Crutchlow has crashed out. Cal Crutchlow at turn 2 has crashed out of 5th place. No second successive Grand Prix win for the British rider. He does appear to be okay.
Yeah, it'll be pretty painful picking that LCR Honda up as well for Cal Crutchlow, with damage to both his hands after a couple of crashes yesterday.
I think he was saying to the marshals, help me pick the bike up.
Dovizioso's in the second place too, and Andrea Iannone. Is Andrea Iannone just running out of a bit of grip with those Michelin wet tyres, or is fatigue, his fitness starting to become an issue for Andrea Iannone, because Andrea Dovizioso then sweeps up in a second place. Dovizioso can see Rossi trying to make a break here. He knew he had to get it through quickly on Andrea Iannone, otherwise Rossi's going to clear off into the distance.
Classic Rossi smells victory. Right, get to the front and absolutely nail it. Dovizioso's been there enough times to know exactly that. Dovizioso now.
Oh, Marquez is down. Marc Marquez has crashed out of 4th place for the second race in succession. Marquez has crashed out of podium contention. Well, Cal Crutchlow went down on the previous lap, and now Marc Marquez is down and out here in Malaysia.
Oh. Wins the world title 2 weeks ago in Japan and crosses out at turn 11, turn 4 in Australia. Marquez trying to get back on his bike. Here is the replay.
Front end washing out from underneath him at turn number 11, so Marquez's Malaysian Grand Prix is over. He rolled the dice and ran those carbon front brake discs. Was it a gamble just a little bit too far? He was coming into contention for the victory, but it's all over for Marquez, all over for Crutchlow as well.
7 laps to go. The crowd are sucking Valentino Rossi along. They are going absolutely crazy.
Dovizioso is looking really, really menacing in second place. He just put in the fastest lap of the race. Marc Marquez did somehow get that Repsol Honda going again. Dovizioso finding a 2:11.950. This is the overhead replay of Marc Marquez going down at turn number 11. Yeah, mid-corner, front end, just washing out from underneath him. Let's have a listen. He just started to wind the power back in there, Marc Marquez, and the front tyre cried no more.
Quickly on his feet to get the bike restarted. There was 4, well, there was 5. Now there are 3. Crutchlow and Marquez crashing out. Rossi still leads the way. Dovizioso behind him, chasing his first ever victory on a Ducati and only his second ever MotoGP victory. You know, and he's done a valiant effort at the front, but just dropping off this pair a little bit as time starts to run out.
Well, Valentino Rossi's got a score to settle with this Sepang International Circuit after last year. and revenge could be pretty sweet for him here at the moment, because he leads this Malaysian Grand Prix. Dovizioso, though, as we said, looks a real threat in second place. Can Andrea Dovizioso become a ninth? Oh, Iannoni's down. Andrea Iannoni, for the 4th race this year, has crashed out of a podium place. We have now got a 2-horse race battle for victory here in Sepang. Can you believe it? Crutchlow, Marquez and Iannoni all down in quick succession.
Well, there were 5, now there are 2.
Turn 9 has bitten Andrea Iannoni. Down he goes, front end washing out from underneath him.
Good to see that he could pick the bike up, because obviously he's still suffering from that back injury sustained in that high-speed crash in Misano.
Well, he crashed off the podium in Qatar, crashed off the podium in Le Mans, crashed off the podium in Silverstone. How many points has Andrea Iannoni surrendered with mistakes in this 2016 MotoGP World Championship? He would be much higher up than 9th place. All this has done, of course, is for Jorge Lorenzo, who was a distant 6 just a few laps ago. He's on the podium now.
And we have Loris Baz in 4th place as we stand at the moment, but all eyes on this battle. Now, if there's ever a criticism, and there's not an awful lot of Andrea Dovizioso, is he aggressive enough sometimes in these situations? He's got to be aggressive now, because Valentino Rossi smells the scent of victory. Baz has crossed the line in 4th, Hector Barber in 5th, Vinales 6th, should be Batista in 7th, Jack Miller's moved up to 8th place. We have Paul Espargaro 10th, Danilo Petrucci in 11th, and Bradley Smith should cross the line in 12th place. No, Lavany has got in front of Bradley Smith. Lavany 12, Smith 13, 14 is Redding, and 15 Marquez after his crash. And here is Marquez coming up behind Scott Redding.
Yeah, you know it's been a bad day at the office of Scott Redding, because Marc Marquez has just passed him, and Marc Marquez has been in the gravel at turn number 11, so it's been a wretched day for Scott Redding, one that he will quickly want to banish from the memory bank.
Back at the front, Dovizioso trails Valentino Rossi. Battle for first, we're told. Andrea Dovizioso will not need or want to be reminded of that fact. He looks very comfortable in 2nd place. Looking comfortable in 2nd and getting past the master are 2 very, very different propositions.
Here's the on board with Cal Crutchlow. Turn number 2. Front tyre says, thank you very much, I've had enough. Cal Crutchlow down and out of the Malaysian Grand Prix. Not the only one to be caught out by these conditions. Marc Marquez was a 4 at turn number 11 when he was in a pretty ominous 4th place and looking to mount a charge towards the front. And Andrea Iannoni right in the podium battle. He was lying 3rd when he went down at turn number 9.
Rossi knows he's got to have a fair old advantage here when they come into turn 14. He's got that advantage at the moment. He has opened it up a little bit, because it is a rocket ship down here for the factory Ducati. Again through the spray, you see the red light of Valentino Rossi's Yamaha as they break for turn 15 when they cross the line. 5 laps to go. It's another masterclass by Rossi at the front in these conditions.
Well, we know that Valentino Rossi is more than capable of winning wet race MotoGP Grand Prix. Now, what about Andrea Dovizioso? Can he find a way to unlock the door to the top step of the podium again for the first time since British Grand Prix? Rossi's wide.
Goes wide.
Well wide at turn 1.
And Dovizioso for the first time leads the race. So a mistake by Valentino Rossi in the wet. Dovizioso now leads the way. Let's have a look again at the replay.
Yeah, Rossi grabbed the front brake lever, but he struggled to pull it up there. Are they just running into grip issues now? The track is still full wet, but improved compared to what it was. I mean, are they just overheating the tyres? Because Dovizioso now has already pulled a really significant gap on Valentino Rossi. As Rossi started to run into some pretty major grip issues here.
Well, here is Rossi. A rare mistake up at turn 1. Dovizioso chasing that first ever victory on the Ducati, only 2nd in the MotoGP class. He's never going to have a better opportunity than he's got for the next 4.5 laps.
Absolutely. Perfect assessment there, Nick. Andrea Dovizioso. Well, it's there for the taking right now, because Valentino Rossi gifted him the lead. He didn't have to do any work for Andrea Dovizioso. To be fair to him, he was looking pretty threatening in 2nd place, but now he's got to the front. This is a massive test of his composure, his collectedness, his calmness. He's normally pretty calm, cool, and collected.
There's one guy, okay, we said, is he aggressive enough to fight it out at the front when it really matters? But there's one guy that is cool and composed, and it is Andre Davidson. Great all-Avintia battle between Loris Paz and Hector Barbera. He will not want to be beaten by Loris Paz, I can assure you.
I remember they had a really good fight for fourth place in Brno as well, these two. Loris Paz knows what it's like to finish fourth. He's done it twice in his Grand Prix career. If Hector Barbera can take his teammate, then it will be a best ever MotoGP finish in his Grand Prix career for Hector Barbera. Dovizioso has got one hand on the trophy here. I don't want to do a commentator's curse on him, but he's 1.2 seconds clear of Rossi already.
It does appear that perhaps Valentino Rossi is having his problems. We ride with Maverick Vinales, third in Japan, third in Australia, not happy in the wet.
Nick, Rossi's got massive problems. Dovizioso did a 2:11.9. Rossi did a 2:14.2. Rossi's really, really struggling.
It's a big gap between him and Jorge Lorenzo in third place. And I think he'll probably try and nurse the Yamaha home, won't he?
Dovizioso was 2.3 seconds faster than Rossi on that last time around. The Ducati team watch on anxiously. Andrea Dovizioso has got, what, 3.5 laps between himself and a first Grand Prix victory since Donington in 2009. Can he be the 9th different winner in the MotoGP World Championship this year?
Well, it's just a little bit of speculation here. In the past, Brembo have told us that steel disc can overheat quite easily once conditions dry out and the brake pressures get a lot hotter. If you look at Rossi and Dovizioso's bike, they both have cooling ducts going to the calipers because they have both had problems before. If you compare that, for instance, with Lorenzo's bike, he doesn't have them. Dovizioso has some very big cooling discs, and I know for a fact that they are running the I think it's 333mm super bike front disc, so the braking could just be one of the issues.
3.5 laps to go here. This incredible Malaysian Grand Prix at the Sepang International Circuit, and we could have the 9th Grand Prix winner of the season at this penultimate round. Andrea Dovizioso comfortable. Valentino Rossi, I think, nursing that Yamaha home now, just looking for his second successive second place to consolidate that second place in the championship.
Jorge Lorenzo's heading for probably one of the most lucky Grand Prix podiums of his career in third place. He's still got to stay upright when others haven't. Hector Barbera then's taken fourth spot from his teammate Loris Paz. This is a really good battle in the Avintia Ducati, guys. They can barely look on. Bragging rights up for grabs at Avintia Ducati.
It's great to see Loris Paz. He's had a wretched old time this season, a horrendous crash at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone that brought out the red flag, and here he is fighting for fourth place. Dovizioso has crossed the line. We ride with him up into turn one. You've almost got your fingers crossed for him, haven't you?
Oh, if he blew it from here, he probably never will win another MotoGP race, because absolutely golden opportunity for Andrea Dovizioso. He's through turn 2 at the start of lap number 17 with a 4-second lead over Valentino Rossi. Surely Andrea Dovizioso's far too experienced, far too calm and collected to throw and squander a chance away like this.
Up at turn 4, you just got a glimpse at the bottom of the hill of Valentino Rossi. I think we saw what happened at turn 1 when he ran it wide. It was a massive warning for Valentino Rossi that he just had to slow up.
Yeah, there's obviously some major problems either with front tyre grip or overheating front discs of Valentino Rossi, because his race for the victory is completely run.
This is Rossi at turn 9.
You can't see any real major issues with front tyre wear there for Valentino Rossi.
You can't. Trying to see the disc is very difficult.
Sorry, look, the brake lever was all the way down on the handlebar. That looks like brake fade.
Really? So, yeah, as you say, he had it right to the bar.
Right to the bar, exactly.
Yeah. Here's Andrea Dovizioso. This is going to be the longest 2.5 laps of his very distinguished career. Of course, 125cc world champion, runner-up in that 250cc world championship. 30 years old now. This will be his 11th victory, second in MotoGP, and he's just got his fingers crossed if he could, but he probably couldn't control the bike if he had his fingers crossed.
Well, this will make amends for losing out at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, won't it, when he got beaten on the last lap by his teammate Andrea Iannone. He was really hurt, really deflated. He wanted to be the Ducati rider that ended their long run in MotoGP without a Grand Prix victory. That time around, he was second best. He was the bridesmaid, as he has been so often in his Grand Prix career, Andrea Dovizioso. But he has got, what, 11 kilometres now between himself and a famous win here in Malaysia.
Not familiar, number 4. We watch him now. Great replay of Andrea Dovizioso.
Well, that Ducati's got plenty of wings on it, and Andrea Dovizioso is flying to a Grand Prix victory here in Malaysia.
Strange track conditions now. It's so difficult to judge with this new surface. Not that it's probably going to matter. I think there's the last round of the Shell Advance Asian Talent Cup still to come, and it'll be interesting to see what the track conditions are for that. Here he is up at turn 4. Just over 1.5 laps to go. Valentino Rossi very, very carefully indeed through turn 4. Yeah, very good 20 points for Rossi. Boy Lorenzo, I think he'd probably be the first to admit, but he stayed on while others have gone off.
Absolutely, yeah. Cal Crutchlow, Andrea Iannone and Marc Marquez all going down in front of him. Hector Barbera's just pulled a bit of a gap on his teammate Loris Baz in the battle for 4th place. Barbera's almost 7/10 of a second clear now of Loris Baz, so Hector Barbera could be heading for his best ever Premier Class result in 4th place.
Dovizioso carefully brakes for turn 9 because there is 1.5 laps to go. Let's have a look at this braking from Valentino Rossi. I think he's obviously having some major problems. Here is Jorge Lorenzo. Be a decent 3rd place because, as Matt so rightly says, he wasn't in the fight, but when 3 of the main protagonists fall out through crashing, you take advantage. Hector Barbera 4th place, Loris Baz 5th, Maverick Vinales, Alvaro Bautista 9th, 8th is Jack Miller, 9th is Paul Espargaro, 10th Petrucci, 11th Aleix Espargaro, 12th Lafferty, 13th Marc Marquez, back on 14th Smith, and Scott Redding in 15th place as we stand at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like Hector Barbera then has finally broken the resolve of Loris Baz in that battle for 4th. The gap now up to over 1 second. Andrea Dovizioso will already be starting the long run up the back straight to start the final lap. I've no idea why. I feel quite nervous here for Andrea Dovizioso.
So do I. Oh, Matt, I couldn't agree with you more. You couldn't meet a more decent guy, very unassuming, and I think everybody. And he got fed up with people saying, surely you're going to be the 9th Grand Prix winner, didn't he? Every time he was in a press conference, every time he got told, well, you've got to be the 9th. You're the only one that hasn't done it. Well, there's less than a lap to go as we ride with Jorge Lorenzo into turn 1. What is Dovizioso thinking now? But as we both said, he's very cool, he's very calculated, he's very calm. I wouldn't say Gigi Dell'Igna, the boss of Ducati, looks quite just stroking his moustache there, isn't
he will be pretty apprehensive as well, though. They've worked so hard to get Ducati back to competitive level in all kinds of conditions. They won in the dry at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. A wet race success coming up here for Andrea Dovizioso. Of course, his 2nd wet race win in the MotoGP class. And he looked
cooler the last one, wasn't it?
Slightly cooler, I seem to recall, at Donington Park, yes.
2009, when he was riding for the factory Honda team. He won a race in very difficult conditions and obviously a lot colder. Half a lap to go as he comes up towards turn 9. On the brakes, spray still coming from the rear wheel of a Ducati.
He has a good long look to his left. He will see there is absolutely nobody within sight. Andrea Dovizioso, he can now just relatively cruise to his 2nd Premier Class Grand Prix victory safely through turns number 11. They can barely watch in that factory Ducati garage. Now then, through turn 12. Yep, nicely done this time around for Andrea Dovizioso. They're trying to hear for him, aren't they? Coming down that back straight through 13. Not unlucky this time around for Andrea Dovizioso. Safely through turn number 14, gentle on the power. Andrea Dovizioso, well, he's known as MotoGP's Mr. Nice Guy. Is he about to become MotoGP's Mr. 9 Guy? Here he comes then, down to the final corner.
Turn 15, the final corner for the 30-year-old Italian, riding the factory Ducati. Looks behind, nobody in sight. Andrea Dovizioso opens the throttle of the Ducati, crosses the line. His 2nd MotoGP win, the 9th winner of this incredible season.
And behind him is the 9-times world champion Valentino Rossi. He ran into all kinds of problems at the end of the race. Rossi 2nd, Jorge Lorenzo, a fortunate but in many respects a deserved third place. He kept it upright. Hector Barber's going to come over the line for a career best fourth. He wins the Avintia Ducati battle ahead of Loris Baz back inside the top 10. Big confidence boost there for Baz. Vinales in 6th. Alvaro Bautista crosses the line in 7th place.
Another great ride by Alvaro Bautista. Celebration time at Ducati. Their 2nd win of the season. Andrea Iannone in Austria and Andrea Dovizioso here in Malaysia.
Marc Marquez came through to take 11th place despite crashing at turn 11. He beat Eugene Laverty, Aleix Espargaro, Bradley Smith and Scott Redding, so Marc Marquez was on the charge. I'm really, really happy for Andrea Dovizioso because he's had to sit through all this season while there's been 8 different winners grab the headlines in the MotoGP World Championship. As Nick quite rightly said, everybody's been going, well, when's Andrea Dovizioso's turn? When's it coming? He's been asked that question every single day since we had winner number 8, Dani Pedrosa, at the Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli. Well, finally, the questions can stop.
Certainly can. And, you know, Iannone leaving the team and Dovizioso staying. Social media, as always, saying, well, that's wrong, Iannone should be the man to stay in the team. Why Dovizioso? Because he's Mr. Steady. He does a brilliant job, and he's also a Grand Prix winner. That's why, because the pace he set with Valentino Rossi at the front was too hot for Cal Crutchlow, Marc Marquez and Andrea Iannone.
Look at that graphic. 2016 MotoGP winners: Lorenzo, Rossi, Jack Miller, Marquez, Iannone, Crutchlow, Maverick Vinales, Dani Pedrosa, and now add Andrea Dovizioso's name to that illustrious list. What a year it has been for the MotoGP World Championship. 9 winners in 17 Grand Prix. Incredible.
What an extraordinary season. And I'm sure there'll be a rare show of emotion from Andrea Dovizioso. Great ride by Valentino Rossi. Obviously, one would imagine some brake problems. Had to settle for 2nd place, but it's a mighty good 2nd place in those conditions. And again, as we've said, he stayed on the bike where others failed, and he pushed Dovizioso very, very hard. There's an incident up at turn 1 when he really ran it wide. I think that was a massive red warning light to Valentino Rossi.
Rossi's clinched 2nd place in the World Championship, and Jorge Lorenzo's taken a giant stride towards securing 3rd place in the World Championship, courtesy of that 3rd place, with Maverick Vinales down in 6th. 17 points the gap then now between Lorenzo and Vinales.
Yeah, Rossi's team looked pretty happy, 2nd in the championship. Boy, Lorenzo, well, perhaps an unexpected 3rd place is the way the race was panning out. But he stayed on while others went down.
I would imagine Valentino Rossi, of course, he wanted to win that Malaysian Grand Prix, but if he was going to be beaten by anybody, I don't think he'd be too upset to be beaten by Andrea Dovizioso.
So back in Parc Ferme, Ducati wait for the arrival.
Yeah, there's Rossi just having a good old chuckle there with Andrea Dovizioso. Well, he was put to the test today, was Andrea Dovizioso, and there's been times in the past when you might have accused him of not rising to the challenge, but this time around, well, he was well up for it.
Well done, Lorenzo and Valentino Rossi. Do you remember in Austin, it was him and Iannone pulling those bigger wheelies? Here it is him and Dovizioso. Whoa, Hector Barber is very, very happy indeed. So he should be, finishing in 4th place on his return to the Avintia team after 2 rides for the factory Ducati team.
Yeah, a MotoGP best previously for Hector Barber, 5th in Australia in 2014 and 5th in Argentina at the start of this season.
Marc Marquez back in with a real old battered Honda after that crash. Brave ride, fought his way back to eventually finish in 11th place, but it hasn't been ideal since he won the title.
Saturday, it's the final clash for the crown.
Put in by Hamadi Ahmad. Who else?
As Air Force Club test their might against JSW Bengaluru.
What a goal from Sunil Jetri.
Seeking to be the first Indian club to win the cup.
Smashes it home comfortably.
AFC Cup Final. Saturday, live on Fox Sports 2 and Fox Sports Play.
I've traveled all over the world for the last 2 years. All that I've seen and learned on climate change has absolutely terrified me.
The Earth is warming, the ice is melting, the sea level is rising. Let's find a way out of it.
We ask you to protect Earth, or we and all living things we cherish are history.
Before the Flood, a world premiere event. Tonight at 7, simulcast on National Geographic channels.
Well, the day belongs to the 30-year-old Italian, former 125cc world champion. He was runner-up in that 250cc world championship. And always the bridesmaid, never quite the bride, wasn't he, Andrea Dovizioso? That has changed here in Malaysia.
I suppose the only thing really left on his bucket list, apart from winning the World Championship, is trying to win a MotoGP race in the dry conditions. That will be next target for Andrea Dovizioso, but full credit to him today because he didn't put a foot wrong. All around him, riders are making mistakes. Crutchlow crashed out of the top 5. Marquez crashed out of 4th. Iannone out of 3rd. Rossi ran into some problems. Lorenzo was struggling to run the pace. The only rider that really had a trouble-free race and was able to maintain a fast and consistent rhythm throughout really was Dovizioso.
Rossi fans in good voice. They've seen their man finish in 2nd place. They've seen him secure 2nd place in the World Championship. But another history-making ride, this time by Andrea Dovizioso. Here's Marc Marquez explaining exactly what happened.
Well, you know, Marc Marquez at the end of the day, he can take those risks without having already won the World Championship. He gambled in Australia, gambled here with those carbon discs. This was the end of his race. Well, not quite the end of his race. It was the end of his hopes of the victory. Down at turn number 11, Marc Marquez, he did ream out and finish in a quite brilliant 11th place.
Here we go, ride with him.
Yeah, 0 warning there for Marquez, down and out, losing the front end at the in the heat of the battle for the 2nd time in a week.
Glad to go home, I think. Recuperate for a week before proceedings start for the final round of the World Championship in Valencia. The crowd, they had to wait, what, half an hour? A bit less, wasn't it, 20 minutes. So Jorge Lorenzo, 3rd place. He's now going to talk to Dylan. Having a quick chat with his new teammate there.
Well, Jorge, congratulations. You managed to get a podium in these very tricky conditions out there today. You kept calm, but how tough was it out there?
Being honest, today I've been lucky, you know, because without the crashes I finished 5th or 6th. But, you know, Crutchlow crash, Iannone, Marquez, finally I got this podium. That is okay, you know, on the wet, this year with the Michelin has been hard for me. But finally, in this track that have more grip than normal, I recovered a little bit of confidence and I could be quite competitive. Maybe in the race a little bit less than in the qualifying, but finally, because the luck enough to win the podium. So now we have the 3rd place in the championship quite safe, if nothing strange happened in Valencia. So I'm quite satisfied.
Thanks a lot, Jorge. Congratulations.
So he should be. Yeah, he was a bit lucky, but Crutchlow, Iannone, and Marquez all crashed out of the race. Look at that crowd making their way between the 2 grandstands in that super mall between the 2, making their way home. It's going to be fun and games getting out of this.
I think I'll give it a couple of hours before I try and get back to the car.
I think you're on. What time's your flight?
Luckily, it's at 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. I think I might just make it.
You better go now. Valentino Rossi and Andrea Dovizioso. So Valentino Rossi, 2nd place in the wet, and he's secured 2nd place in the 2016 MotoGP World Championship. And I'm sure when he speaks to Dylan, he'll be delighted.
Well, Valentino, congratulations, 2nd place in the championship. It almost looked like you would celebrate it with a win, but something happened in those last 5 laps. What was wrong?
Yeah, I did a great battle with Iannone, but when I was able to overtake, I was very optimistic, and I feel I can go. But after, when the water came less, I started to have a problem with the front tire on the right. I had 2 moments, and I have to slow down. It's a shame because for sure we want to try to win, but it's good for the second place in the championship.
Thanks a lot, Vale. Congratulations.
Yeah, obviously a major problem for Valentino Rossi. Second place, his second successive second place, and second place in the World Championship.
Yeah, excessive front tyre wear on the right-hand side was the issue for Rossi.
So Andrea Dovizioso, the 9th Grand Prix winner of the season, his second ever MotoGP victory, talks to Dylan.
Well, Dobby, ever since Misano, people have been bombarding you with questions about being winner number 9. You have now silenced us altogether. How good does it feel to be back on that top step now for the second time in your career?
Wow, it was 2009, a long time. The victory is always something different. It's really nice to come in this moment, in this condition. I struggled a lot during the race, I have some problem, but I really wanted, so really happy with the team to get this victory with Ducati. We worked really hard in the last 4 years. Thank you really to everybody, all the people at home, and the fans, my family, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Dobby. Congratulations.
Well, he said he had some problems. He hid them pretty well in the race, didn't he?
He certainly did, yeah.
I'm sure that hashtag there, hashtag Dovi on Cloud 9, is trending now on social media. Let us know what your thoughts about the amazing 9th MotoGP winner in 2016.
9 out of 17. Surely there's not going to be another one at round 18 in 2 weeks' time. Who knows? Of course, he will have a new teammate next season, and that will be Jorge Lorenzo. That is going to be very interesting indeed.
A great ride by Loris Baz. Good to see him back in the top 5, Nick, after a really tough run in the championship.
That's a brilliant ride, and we spoke to him on the grid, didn't we? And he said since Silverstone, that horrendous crash he had in that collision with Pol Espargaro hasn't felt quite right. He was right on it today. Brilliant 5th place for Loris Baz, and well done Hector Barbera in 4th place. What a day for the Vintage Ducati team.
Well, we know that Ducati GP 14.2 normally does go pretty well in the wet conditions. Both the Vintage Ducatis inside the top 5, as they were in Brno as well. So they won't be hoping, they won't be too disappointed if it's lashing down with rain in Valencia in a couple of weeks' time as well.
Of course, no sign of the rain now, is there? no, proceedings are finished. The riders making their way up to the podium. What an amazing Malaysian Grand Prix it's been. Record crowd, over 95,000. Weather conditions of all sorts. A new 5-year deal for the circuit that means that it will continue staging the Malaysian Grand Prix for at least another 5 years. The 3rd race in 2 weeks for the travelling circus and the riders. Many of us, including all the teams and riders, making their way home to Europe before that final round of the championship in Valencia in 2 weeks' time. It's been great. 3 different winners in those 2 weeks. That just sums up the championship. Marquez, Crutchlow and Dovizioso.
Boy, Lorenzo about to get onto what was a pretty lucky podium. He admitted that himself when he spoke to Dylan. But in those tricky conditions, it's all about bringing the bike home, and that's exactly what he did. He was struggling in 6th place to run the podium pace very early on, but with Iannone again for the 4th time this year crashing out of the top 3. Mistakes by Cal Crutchlow as well, and Marc Marquez. Lorenzo finds himself back on the podium.
Yeah, there's a 17-point gap now between Viñales and Lorenzo with one round to go in their battle for 3rd place in the championship.
Lorenzo's first podium since Aragon. Paolo Ciabatti looks like he's going to be stepping onto the podium to take the Constructor Trophy for Ducati. Andrea Dovizioso and Valentino Rossi having a good laugh about what they've just seen unfold in those 19 laps. Here come the podium finishes then here in Malaysia.
There was a respectful shake of the hands actually between Lorenzo and Rossi, wasn't there? Which has not always happened this season. Valentino Rossi in 2nd place to secure that 2nd place in the World Championship. But history in the making. Andrea Dovizioso, the 30-year-old Italian, wins his first MotoGP race for Ducati, the second of his career, the 9th Grand Prix winner of this incredible 2017 MotoGP season.
Valentino Rossi stepped on the podium. We're in Malaysia. It was like Mugello and Mazzano, the reception that he got. Fantastic. There is Paolo Ciabatti then taking the Constructor Trophy. Second win of the year then for the Bologna factory. They are back, and what will they do with Jorge Lorenzo on board that Desmos Adichie GP machine in 2017? That will be fascinating to find out. Jorge Lorenzo then back on the podium for the first time since Aragon in his 249th Grand Prix start. It's his 144th podium, the 106th of his Premier Class career.
To be probably the biggest cheer, which is a bit sadder for Andrea Dovizioso. Malaysia love him. The 6 times winner here at the Sepang circuit. Valentino Rossi in second place to secure second place in the World Championship battle.
His 185th Premier Class podium finish, the 221st of Rossi's career, an amazing record.
Andrea Dovizioso's 11th win in Grand Prix racing, surely the most important of them all. He wins here at Sepang in Malaysia. In 2009, that last Grand Prix victory came for Andrea Dovizioso, the British Grand Prix at Donington Park. He's made it to, Ducati have made it to also. And now we wait for that final round in Valencia in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, Dovi's on cloud 9, and why wouldn't he be? Brembo have just tweeted, and Andrea Dovizioso won't thank them for reminding him about this, but his last Grand Prix victory at Donington in 2009 was only 2,653 days ago.
Don't you hate people to bring those sort of facts up? I bet he says, oh, thank you very much indeed for that. Now, one of the nicest guys in Grand Prix racing, and even when he won, he was still cool, wasn't he? He was still Andrea Dovizioso, what you've come to expect from him. Celebration time, and then 4 jumbo jets of equipment will be loaded up at the Sepang International Airport tomorrow. 800 crates loaded into those aeroplanes for the trip back to Europe and that final Grand Prix of the season. The Ricardo Tormo circuit, named after the former 50cc world champion, Valencia in Spain. No World Championships to be decided this time, but always an amazing event. Crowd of over 100,000, tight, technical circuit. The last race of this truly amazing 2016 MotoGP season. Well, still another race here. It's the final round of the Shell Advance Asian Talent Cup. But Andrea Dovizioso celebrates. Victory at last on a Ducati. In second place, Valentino Rossi to secure that second place in the World Championship. Third, Jorge Lorenzo. Hector Barbera and Loris Baz, and all of Vintia battle for 4th and 5th. Maverick Vinales, Alvaro Batista on the Aprilia. Jack Miller coming up into 8th place in front of Paul Espargaro. In 10th place, Danilo Petrucci. Marc Marquez, after the crash, jumped back on and finished 11th. Eugene Laverty, one more ride in MotoGP in 12th. Aleix Espargaro, a mistake for him up at turn 1, 13th. Bradley Smith 14th, Scott Redding completing the point scoring. Then we had Hiroshiyama, Stefan Bradl, Tito Rabat. Andrea Iannone crashed out while fighting for the lead. Cal Crutchlow fighting for the lead also crashed out. The Riders' Championship, well, the first 2 places are now done and dusted. Marquez is the champion, Valentino Rossi the runner-up, and Jorge Lorenzo's done himself a great deal of good. A 17-point advantage over Maverick Vinales in their battle for 3rd place. Dovizioso moves up 2 places. Pedrosa, hope he's back in Valencia, moves down 1, as does Cal Crutchlow. Iannone moves down a place. Batista moves up 1, Scott Redding moves down 1, and Jack Miller moves up 1 place. A little bit further down, Bradley Smith drops a place. Kelly Pirro, of course, the test rider for the Ducati team, Baz up a place. Rabat down 1. Yoni Hernandez. Akasuga, of course, rode for Yamaha in Motegi. Alex Lowe's replaced the injured Bradley Smith, and Hiroshiyama replacing the injured Danny Pedrosa. Now then, Constructors' Championship must be close. Honda 349, Yamaha 3.